Next, a leader who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyways, because, and technically I say she's my boss, but we work together so well, and we're so lucky to have her. Please welcome Leading Age's President and CEO, Katie Smith Sloan.
Good afternoon. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to tell you that a resident from a leading age community in Pittsburgh, Melvin Wax, of Forward Shady Apartments, was one of the victims of the tragic shooting yesterday. So I hope you will join me in keeping Melvin and other victims in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. So here we are in Philadelphia. There are many images that come to mind when thinking about Philadelphia. Cheesesteak, brotherly love, Rocky Balboa, and of course, the Liberty Bell. When I walk the streets of Philadelphia, I am transported back to a time when the fate of our country rested in the hands of 56 men who had the daunting task of deciding America's fate for what would turn out to be the next 3 centuries. Just imagine the foresight they must have had in order to lay down the foundation of a new country. They relied on their instincts. They examined potential scenarios and carefully weighed the pros and cons of their actions. They took risks, yes, but they did so with the right balance of prudence and opportunity. And the gamble paid off. However, we're not in Philadelphia to focus on the past. We're here to focus on our future. It's our turn to write our own rules and set the stage for a future where older adults are treated with respect and afforded every opportunity they wish to pursue, no matter their age. So much like our forebears did more than 200 years ago, we must set our sights on the next 10, 20, or even 50 years. The endless possibilities, the stream of innovation, the new frontiers, the challenges that 400 million of us will face by 2050. Yes, you heard me correctly. The US population is predicted to top 400 million people in just 30 years' time. And by then, there will be 500,000 Americans over 100 years of age, 19 million over 85, and 90 million over the age of 65. We are called leading age for a reason. With numbers like these, we need to lead. And lead we will by answering these and other questions. How will our communities adapt to the unprecedented number of older adults? Who will work in our field? Who among the many kinds of providers will be the winners and the losers in this ever-changing landscape? Will the notion of retirement even exist? What will older adults expect, demand? No one, not any of the men at the Constitutional Convention, owned a crystal ball. But they did have an uncanny ability to anticipate the realities, see the trends, and extrapolate. And so do we. Our leadership is urgently needed. Fortunately, we have sophisticated tools and sufficient clarity to make smart choices about our future. Earlier this year, we released a new scenario planning toolkit, Aging Services 2030, in which Leading Age identifies the forces impacting what that time horizon will look like. Attitudes about aging, technology, government, and of course, workforce. These forces, each acting alone and in concert with the other, are already rocking our world. I strongly encourage you to take the time to read the Aging Services 2030 Toolkit. Use it to focus on the forces that we must influence. At the Leading Age Town Hall conversation in Texas earlier this year, members were asked what they could change if they could change just one thing. The overwhelming response: attitudes about aging. Negative attitudes about aging are ubiquitous. We hear them in the language around us every day. Language that demeans, demoralizes, and degrades the worth of older adults. Personally, I don't want to be thought of as frail, adorable, or 85 years young. We're so programmed as a society to ignore, discount, or despair about aging that we often don't recognize when our language, behavior, and attitudes are ageist. Ageism is everywhere. It's insidious. It demeans accumulated wisdom, wastes the energy of entire generations, and ignores the initiatives, insights, and instincts that can only grow with time. You know, it wasn't always that way. Of the 56 men who signed our Declaration of Independence, 37 would have been considered older adults. I would wager a bet that Benjamin Franklin, who was 70 years old in 1776, was never asked by a server in his favorite pub here in Philly, "What can I get you, dearie?" Just think of the national treasures, the literary, legal, political, military, business, medical, educational treasures we'd have lost if we had viewed our founding fathers and mothers the way we view older Americans today. To free America from ageism, we need to hold up a mirror to our society and ignite change. You know, some say, light a candle, shatter the darkness. Leading Age says, light 10,000 candles, illuminate a nation. We will not stop until the darkest corner of ageism is lit with the brilliance of our efforts. Technology. Technology is an overwhelming force. New technologies emerge every day. We're moving from 4Gs to 5Gs in some parts of the country. Yet in others, unfortunately, those faster speeds won't arrive for at least 5 more years. This deprives older adults access to technology that can vastly improve the quality of their lives. This digital chasm is unacceptable. The possibilities of enabling people to live independently, to tap into the shared economy, to enhance safety, security, and efficiency seem to be endless. And yet, for some, so are the delays and the roadblocks. We can't wait. We must close the gap in access. Leading Age recognized this challenge 15 years ago when we established the Center for Aging Services Technologies, or CAST. We connect to technology companies and research institutes, sharing through case studies how you are experimenting, adopting, and adapting. And yes, we are advocating for technologies that are user-driven, specifically designed with older adults and providers in mind. CAST is a force multiplier for Leading Age, its members, and its allies. It's always been ahead of its time, harnessing the ability to look forward and anticipate the changing needs of older adults. I encourage you to spend more time using CAST's valuable resources as you pursue your strategic goals. The self-government our founding fathers left us is a massive, opaque, and at times intractable force. It is what it is. To shift its momentum, to rein in its worst excesses, and expand its best intentions takes all of us pushing, prodding, persuading, pursuing new legislation, and sometimes rejecting its antiquated ideas. In Washington, D.C. and state capitals across the country, leading age and our state partners are tireless advocates. Our lobbying, policy, and program staffs are talented and tenacious. They have to be, given how polarized our politics have become, how acrimonious policy debates are, and how the notion of compromise hardly exists. We have a critical election next week. We'll have a new Congress, and you will have new governors and state legislatures. This is our chance to reintroduce ourselves, hear our elected officials tell their stories about aging, and give us a chance to tell ours. These stories shed light on our common bond. We are all aging. There's one challenge that we face that will define almost everything we do for many, many years to come: workforce. This issue brings us all together in a way no other issue does. It must be our rallying cry. I have no doubt that, being the remarkable organizations that you are, amazing things are happening. I know. I've heard from you directly. In Kansas, I met a member wearing 3 hats: administrator of her nursing home, its director of nursing, and a nursing assistant, because on some days, there is no one else to care for her residents. In New Jersey, a member was celebrating 2 employees' 50 years of service, and yet his nursing assistants were leaving for just $1 more an hour. In Nebraska, a member recruited staff with strong people skills from a JCPenney store that was closing its doors. 3 examples out of hundreds I've encountered. But even this is not enough. This is not just a national crisis. It's a global one. But for you, it's a Monday to Sunday crisis, 24/7. Looking for a workforce solution forces us to innovate. Innovation means a course correction, a change that brings value or benefit. It must be embedded in how we work, because the sheer numbers are simply working against us. Decreasing numbers of working-age adults, reimbursement rates that don't allow us to pay a living wage, a support ratio that is quickly getting terribly out of balance, and increasing demands from a growing older population that outpaces the supply of qualified workers. This is fast becoming one gigantic and seemingly unsolvable math problem. A math problem that even a supercomputer cannot solve. So where's our hidden figures? Where's our equivalent of the 3 remarkable women, Katherine Johnson, Mary Jackson, and Dorothy Vaughan, whose math skills put John Glenn into orbit? Where's our deepest, most original thinkers who can help us figure out our moonshot on workforce? The answer is right here, right in this room. So today, I'm appealing to you to hear all of your stories. I want to hear what challenges you, and I want to hear what solutions you have implemented. It doesn't matter whether you're a large community with multiple campuses or a small organization with only a handful of staff. Your input is vitally important to our collective success. So take a moment to click on the Workforce Moonshot Ideas button on the annual meeting app and give us your feedback. We're searching for those hidden figures in our midst. Send us your best ideas, and then together, let's put them into orbit. We'll take the lessons learned, we'll expand upon them and implement them, and finally, we achieve our moonshot. At Leading Age, a longer-term time horizon is an imperative. 2050 may seem far too distant to imagine, but 2030 is less than 12 years away. According to the US Census, 2030 will be an important demographic turning point in our history. Why? Because by 2030, 1 in 5 residents will be of retirement age. 1 in 5, 20%. 71 million Americans. Such a seismic change is unavoidable, so it must be met head on. With both commitment and resilience, two abiding characteristics of Leading Age, its members, and its state partners, we can master the forces arrayed ahead of us. This week, you have access to countless tools and resources addressing these very forces and giving you what you need to thrive. Our education program is very carefully planned with your needs in mind, so be sure to take full advantage of all that we have to offer. Everywhere I go, I see hard evidence of your daily grind. You're committed to your missions, your residents, your clients, their families, and your community. You offer inclusive environments to people from all walks of life. You're dogged in your pursuit of quality and excellence. You're nimble enough to change. And you never, never, never give up. And neither will we. So thank you for being part of Leading Age. Thank you for being here in Philadelphia.
Great job.